As we're learning incredible new details this hour about the circumstances surrounding his death. His front door open, scattered pills on the bathroom countertop, one dog in the closet, two still alive on the.
So as well known as Gene Hackman was, neighbors tell us that he and his wife led intensely private lives here in Santa Fe, their longtime home. And while we've been learning more about this case, there is still so much we don't know.
What really went on inside Gene Hackman's sprawling New Mexico estate? The mystery surrounding the legendary actor's final days has left fans and investigators baffled as new details continue to surface. Was there more to his seemingly quiet and secluded life than met the eye? Let's unravel the perplexing story that has everyone talking.
Breaking news, you're looking at video of one of the last times Oscar winner Gene Hackman, a known recluse in recent years, was seen in public.
It all began with a frantic call to emergency services on what seemed like an ordinary afternoon. A longtime caretaker arrived at Gene Hackman's Santa Fe home for a routine check, only to be met with an unsettling scene that would trigger a chain of events no one saw coming. The front door was ajar, a rare sight for a man known to fiercely guard his privacy. As the caretaker stepped inside, an eerie stillness filled the air. Venturing further into the house, they stumbled upon a discovery no one ever wants to make: Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, unresponsive in separate rooms.
And here in Santa Fe, Sheriff's Department officials here working behind me have yet another high-profile case on their hands. Aaron, you and I covered at length the Alec Baldwin case, that fatal shooting on the set of the movie Rust. This is the same investigative team that worked that case.
The initial findings by law enforcement only deepened the mystery. There were no obvious signs of external harm to either Gene Hackman or Betsy Arakawa, making it appear at first glance as though they had passed away peacefully. Yet, something about the scene felt off. In the bathroom, a space heater lay near Betsy's body, an unsettling detail investigators couldn't ignore. Pills were scattered across the countertop, and the heater's positioning suggested it may have been knocked over in a sudden fall. Was this simply a tragic accident? Or was there more to the story?
That initial findings note no external trauma to either individual. They say that carbon monoxide toxicology reports have been requested. Finally, as sheriff's officials gather information, it's worth pointing out that this could take weeks or months before we know exactly what the cause of is. That's because these medical examiner cases often take time in order to get to the root cause of these.
The FBI's involvement in the case only deepened the intrigue, raising questions about why federal agents would take an interest in what appeared to be a domestic tragedy. Rumors quickly swirled that investigators had uncovered evidence suggesting something far more sinister, possibly even a targeted robbery. Given Hackman's secluded home and reclusive lifestyle, could someone have seen him as an easy target? Adding to the speculation were reports of past tensions between Hackman and some of his neighbors. Though he was known for his generosity and quiet presence in the Santa Fe community, not everyone viewed him favorably, with disputes over property boundaries and local conflicts reportedly causing friction in recent years. Some wondered if these tensions had escalated into something more dangerous, involving third parties with motives beyond mere disagreements. While unverified, these theories have only fueled the mystery, leaving many to question whether Hackman's final days were truly as peaceful as they first seemed.
They've clearly been for several days, and I'm saying days plural in order to get that kind of mummification. One of the ways of figuring this out, obviously, is from the scene investigation to find out when did they last pick up the mail, when did they last check in with relatives, phone calls, those kind of things, because people generally will communicate with others during the course of their
Inside the home, investigators discovered several puzzling details that didn't quite add up. Despite the front door being open, there were no signs of forced entry, and the furniture and belongings remained undisturbed, with nothing of significant value missing. If this was a robbery, it certainly didn't follow the usual pattern. Was it staged to look like something else entirely? Adding to the unease was the couple's 3 dogs. One was found lifeless in a bathroom closet, a chilling detail that only deepened the mystery. Yet, the other 2 dogs were alive and in good condition, one roaming outside and the other near Betsy's body. How had they survived without their owners for so long?
There was a dog who was alive in the house and a dog also that belonged to them who was outside the house. Right, but the door being ajar means, what Judy describes, which is they could have been there 10 days or 2 weeks, meant that the dogs could have had access to come in and out of that doorway. They might have had access to food.
The timeline of events leading up to the discovery of the bodies remains a perplexing piece of the puzzle. Gene Hackman's pacemaker provided a crucial clue, recording its last activity on February 17, 9 days before the caretaker stumbled upon the scene. This detail suggests the couple may have been deceased for over a week before anyone took notice. But how could no one in their close-knit community have realized something was amiss? While Hackman and Arakawa were known for their private lifestyle, they were also regulars at local establishments. Could their absence truly have gone unnoticed for that long, or was someone deliberately keeping quiet?
As Hollywood gets ready to honor its best at the Academy Awards this weekend, there are still unanswered questions about the of two-time Oscar winner Gene Hackman and his wife. The couple was found this week in their New Mexico home. On Friday, investigators ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning and revealed other clues that may lead them to determine what did happen.
What makes this case even more chilling are the strange inconsistencies surrounding the condition of Betsy Arakawa's remains. Reports indicated signs of mummification in her hands and feet, a process that typically takes weeks to begin, yet Hackman's pacemaker data suggested a much shorter timeframe. Could environmental factors have accelerated the process, or were there other variables at play? Investigators also noted that Hackman was found near his cane and sunglasses, as if he had been walking through the house when something abruptly stopped him. Was his fall purely accidental, or did he encounter something, or someone, that led to his demise?
Much of the investigation is happening just up this road behind gates and a guard in an affluent neighborhood where homes are separated by acres of land. That's where Hackman and his wife chose to live, decidedly secluded.
As rumors of foul play gained momentum, the FBI reportedly began investigating whether Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa had been targeted for reasons beyond simple theft. Some theories suggest the couple may have been entangled in financial dealings or business ventures that attracted unwanted attention. Despite his retirement from acting, Hackman remained active in Santa Fe's local scene, even co-owning a restaurant with friends. Could his involvement in these ventures have made him a target? Others speculate that their philanthropy may have played a role. Known for their quiet generosity, Hackman and Arakawa had long supported local causes, often without seeking recognition. While their goodwill earned them admiration, could someone in their orbit have harbored darker intentions, leading to a situation that spiraled out of control? Adding to the mystery are the pills found near Arakawa's body. Investigators identified them as common medications for thyroid issues and high blood pressure, nothing inherently suspicious. Yet, their scattered presence raises unsettling questions. Were they spilled accidentally, or do they suggest a moment of panic before her passing? Toxicology tests have been ordered, but with results expected to take months, the true role of these medications in the couple's final moments remains unknown.
Has been able to get into the obtained cell phones?
Not at this time. We have them in our possession. We'll be analyzing cell phone data, phone calls, text messages, events, photos in the cell phone to try to piece a timeline together.
One particularly troubling aspect of the case is the role of the dogs. German Shepherds are known for their loyalty and protective instincts, making it difficult to imagine anyone entering the home without triggering a reaction. Yet, 2 of the dogs were found unharmed, one even roaming freely outside. How had they managed to survive for days without food or water? And why was one dog discovered lifeless in a closet? Theories range from natural causes to something far more deliberate, but for now, the answers remain frustratingly elusive. On
Wednesday, February 26, 2025, at approximately 1:45 p.m., Santa Fe County Sheriff's deputies were dispatched to 1425 Old Sunset Trail, where Gene Hackman, 95, and his wife Betsy Arakawa, 65, and a dog were found deceased.
As the investigation unfolds, the question of who, or what, might be responsible for Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's untimely deaths looms large. Was it a tragic accident, worsened by their secluded lifestyle, or is there a darker truth waiting to be uncovered? The FBI's involvement suggests this case is anything but straightforward, and as new details emerge, public fascination with the enigmatic couple has only grown. What is certain is that Hackman's passing leaves a profound void, not just in Hollywood, but in the hearts of those who knew him. A man who built his career portraying characters with grit and determination, Hackman's own life was a testament to resilience. Yet even in his final chapter, the legendary actor remains an enigma, leaving behind a legacy as complex as the mystery surrounding his death. As investigators work to piece together the puzzle, one thing is clear: this story is far from over. The unanswered questions and eerie clues have ensured that Hackman's final role, albeit an unintentional one, has captivated the nation. But will the truth ever come to light, or will this case become one of Hollywood's most haunting mysteries? Stay tuned, because there's sure to be more to this story.
Due to the unusual circumstances of two decedents in the residence, there was a concern for scene safety. Santa Fe City fire personnel and the New Mexico Gas Company were requested to the scene to test for carbon monoxide or other foreign elements. The scene was deemed safe, and approximately 9:30 p.m., a search warrant was issued and executed on the residence.
The mystery surrounding Gene Hackman's passing doesn't just leave behind unanswered questions, it also casts a spotlight on the extraordinary legacy he built over decades. It's almost unbelievable that a man once labeled least likely to succeed would go on to become one of Hollywood's most revered and celebrated actors. But, like everything Hackman did, his life was anything but ordinary, and his influence extends far beyond the silver screen. Isn't it strange how someone can seem larger than life, yet their story can still end in such a perplexing and uncertain way?
Search warrant. There were 2 green in color cell phones, 2 bottles of medication, 1 bottle of over-the-counter Tylenol, my request medical records, and a 2025 monthly planner calendar. Those items were secured from the residence for evidentiary purposes.
Gene Hackman's career was nothing short of legendary. Over 5 decades, he delivered performances that didn't just entertain, they left a lasting impact. Who could forget his relentless portrayal of Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection? That role didn't just earn him an Academy Award, it cemented his place as one of the greatest actors of his generation. Then there was his unforgettable take on Lex Luthor in Superman, where his charisma and sly humor turned a comic book villain into a scene-stealing force. Hackman had a rare ability to make any role, no matter how big or small, feel real. Whether playing a hardened detective, a scheming lawyer, or the eccentric patriarch in The Royal Tenenbaums, he brought an authenticity that made audiences feel like they weren't just watching a performance, they were watching a person.
It's weird because I knew a lot of them, so they weren't intimidating. Meeting Gene Hackman the first time, was like, but then finding out he was so funny, that was a great thing.
Yeah.
When I saw him, he did that speech in Birdcage where he just says that thing about, and the leaves, and at that point you just slowly nod off. But he did it so, it's a hard thing to make boring hysterical. And he did it.
Yeah.
And he did it perfectly,
What made Gene Hackman's career so fascinating was its sheer unpredictability. He didn't fit the mold of a traditional Hollywood leading man, he wasn't the conventionally handsome, suave type that studios typically banked on. In fact, Hackman often joked about his truck driver looks. Yet, that everyman quality became one of his greatest strengths, allowing him to portray characters that felt relatable and grounded, even when they were larger than life. He once said that his approach to acting was all about honesty, finding the truth in a role and sticking to what was on the page. The clue to any creative process, he explained, is to figure out what's already there instead of trying to embellish it. That philosophy carried him through a career that spanned everything from gritty dramas to quirky comedies, proving that you don't need to be flashy to leave a lasting impact.
What was it like being on the set with Gene Hackman?
Well, Gene, people ask all the time, who's the best actor, who's the biggest star, who's the blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. The line's long for the great actors I've been able to work with, really is. But I would say probably Gene was the best actor that I'd ever worked with.
Yet, for all his success, Hackman was never one to bask in the Hollywood spotlight. In fact, he often seemed to be running in the opposite direction. After decades of delivering iconic performances, he quietly stepped away from acting in 2004, following the release of Welcome to Mooseport. At the time, he cited the stress of the industry and concerns about his health as reasons for retiring. But Hackman didn't just retire, he disappeared. He retreated to Santa Fe, New Mexico, where he and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, built a life as far removed from Hollywood as possible. Instead of attending red carpet premieres or mingling with A-listers, Hackman spent his days painting, writing novels, and embracing the peaceful solitude of the desert.
Well, this week, our community lost a giant, and I lost a dear friend, Gene Hackman.
Friends and neighbors in Santa Fe described Gene Hackman as a man who valued his privacy above all else. He wasn't interested in being Gene Hackman, the movie star, he was just Gene, a guy who loved tinkering around the house and swapping stories with those closest to him. One local contractor who worked with Hackman for over 16 years recalled how the actor would often lend a hand on projects around his property. When Gene was on the job, he was just another one of the guys, the contractor said. I couldn't believe I was working side by side with a legend. That humility and down-to-earth nature made Hackman a beloved figure in his community, even as he remained out of the public eye. But for all the peace and quiet he seemed to have found in retirement, his final days have left many wondering if something more was happening behind the scenes. The timeline of his passing paints a picture of isolation that is both tragic and perplexing. How could one of Hollywood's most iconic actors go unnoticed for over a week? And what happened during those 9 days that no one seems able to explain? As investigators piece together the clues, fans are left grappling with the unsettling reality that someone as unforgettable as Gene Hackman could fade away so quietly, leaving behind more questions than answers.
He received 2 Oscars, but more importantly, he won the hearts of film lovers all over the world. Gene always said, I don't think about legacy. I just hope people remember me as someone who tried to do good work.
It's not just the mystery of Gene Hackman's passing that has people talking. The outpouring of tributes from those who knew and loved him paints a picture of a man as extraordinary off-screen as he was on it. Longtime friend and collaborator Clint Eastwood described him as an actor who brought honesty and grit to every role. Dustin Hoffman, who once shared an apartment with Hackman during their early acting days, reflected on their humble beginnings and the incredible journey they both had. We were 2 kids who had been told we'd never make it, Hoffman said. But Gene had this drive, this determination that was unstoppable. He didn't just prove people wrong, he became one of the best. Closer to home, the Santa Fe community is mourning the loss of a neighbor who, despite his fame, never acted like a celebrity. Local restaurant owners shared stories of Hackman's generosity, from investing in their businesses to simply being a kind and supportive presence. Gene and Betsy were part of our family, one business owner said. Their kindness and love for this city made them more than just icons, they were our neighbors.
Of legendary actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa, the couple along with their dog found in their New Mexico home this week by a maintenance worker. Listen, this is part of the 9.
For Hackman's family, the shock and grief are still raw. His daughter, Leslie, has spoken about the close bond she shared with her father and how much she appreciated the care Betsy Arakawa provided in his later years. They had a wonderful marriage. Betsy took such good care of him, always looking out for his health. But even Leslie admits that the circumstances of her father's passing have left her with more questions than answers. They weren't expecting this. There was no indication that anything was wrong. So where does that leave the investigation? For now, authorities are still working to piece together the puzzle, the timeline, the evidence, the unanswered questions. It all feels like something out of a mystery novel, the kind Hackman himself might have written in retirement. The pacemaker data, the presence of the space heater, the scattered pills, the condition of the dogs, each clue raises more doubts than it resolves. And then there's the involvement of the FBI, a factor that has only deepened the speculation surrounding what might have really happened.
The reason the digital information from both of their cell phones is so important, Natasha, is because cell phones can track movement, and that's what they are going to look into. When did those cell phones cease not only to be used, but cease to move?
But perhaps the most haunting aspect of this story is the possibility that we may never get all the answers. Gene Hackman spent his life creating characters that felt real, human, flawed, and deeply complex. In the end, his own story has become just as layered and enigmatic as any role he ever played. And maybe that's fitting. Hackman always said he wasn't interested in being remembered as a star, he simply wanted to be known as a decent actor who did his best. But for fans and friends alike, his passing feels like the end of an era, one that leaves behind a legacy of talent, humility, and now, mystery. So what do you think? Will the investigation uncover the truth behind Gene Hackman's final days? Or will his story remain one of Hollywood's great unsolved puzzles? And how do we reconcile the quiet life he chose with the extraordinary career he left behind? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to stay tuned as we continue to uncover more about this fascinating and heartbreaking story. Until next time, take care, and remember to cherish the legacies of those who inspire us.